What's up, Bills Mafia? Harrison Graham here with another episode of the Bills Breakdown by Chat Sports. And on today's show, we're going to take a look at some top free agent targets for this offseason. And first, we got to take a look at what the Bills' own free agent group looks like. These are the notable ones: Amari Cooper, Rasul Douglas, Austin Johnson, Mac Hollins. You've got DeMar Hamlin, Dwayne Smoot, Ty Johnson, Tommy Doyle, and Alec Anderson. You look at this roster right now, the Amari Cooper thing did not work out. I don't expect him to be back. I like Khalil Shakir. I like Keon Coleman. Neither of them are number one receivers. I think if you could find one, that would be big. Pass rusher, I think you need more juice off the edge. We talked about this last week. You either need a better secondary or a better pass rusher. We got both mentioned here. You may not be able to address both heavily, but I would like to get better at least one of those positions. Okay, what is the biggest need in your guys' opinion for the Bills this offseason? Let us know in the comment section down below. Biggest need for Buffalo in free agency and or the draft. Okay, let's take a look at the big one, Tee Higgins. We'll talk about the financials because obviously that could get tricky, but imagining a world where Tee Higgins gets added to this receiver core is a fun world to live in, right? I mean, Josh Allen is a special talent. He put up huge numbers with Stephon Diggs for years, and Tee Higgins could be the next iteration of that. Be the true number one receiver here and knock down Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir another peg. I know Joe Burrow wants to bring Higgins back to Cincinnati, but are they going to pay Chase, bring back Higgins and Trey Hendrickson? That seems unlikely. I still think there's a world where Tee Higgins hits the open market and signs elsewhere, and be kind of sweet, too, to knock down Cincinnati another peg or two as well. I like Shakir. I think he's a good number two slot guy. I think Coleman could be another good possession guy on the outside. I don't think he's ready to take a jump to a number one, and I don't think Shakir's skill set will ever translate into being a true number one. Tee Higgins is a number one receiver in this league. He's just not a number one receiver for the Bengals because they have Jamar Chase. So I would like to see this happen if it was possible. I think the pairing with this quarterback, Josh Allen, would be fantastic. By the way, congrats to Josh for winning MVP. Didn't know if it was going to happen or not. The issue for Buffalo is they're not in a good salary cap standing right now. They're a little over the cap, and Tee Higgins is going to cost a lot of money. So you got to figure out, okay, who are we cutting? Who are we restructuring? Josh Allen get restructured. The Bills could find a way, but Tee Higgins at minimum is going to get $28, $29 million per year. You could backload it where the first year of the cap hit isn't that big. You could add void years, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy either. So I'll be curious to see if Buffalo is in on Tee Higgins. I would imagine that Josh Allen would love to play with them. Help the Bills Breakdown reach 1,000 subs. We're 20 subs away. I can smell it as we speak. We better get there before Super Bowl Sunday. So if you want daily content on the Bills Breakdown, right now we're 3, 4, 5 videos per week. You want daily? Let's cross 1,000. We'll be able to pump out more videos. Let's talk about another big-time name, more of a vet, though, at this point, especially a vet on the back nine of his career. Khalil Mack, the edge rusher, who has been around for a while, played with, obviously, the Raiders, the Bears, and the Chargers. He's set to hit the open market. We'll see if the Chargers show interest in bringing him back. I could see that being a possibility, but other contending teams would certainly like to bring him in as well. That includes the Buffalo Bills. He's still very good. He still gets a lot of pressures. The sacks certainly went down this year. I don't think he's touching 17 again, but I think double digits could still happen. I think he could reach 10 sacks in the right situation if he's able to stay healthy. He was kind of starting to get phased out in L.A. Tuli Tuipulotu was taking more snaps down the stretch, their day 2 draft pick from a couple of years ago. So down the stretch, he was playing more like 55-60% of the snaps compared to the 77% he was playing the first half of the season. So I do wonder if the Chargers and Mack kind of just split ways. And Von Miller, remember, it was surprising at the time when they gave him that massive contract, and it's kind of played out that way, right? Like, he had a pretty good 2022, then he got hurt. This year he was fine. He's kind of like a rotation edge rusher at this point. To me, I would probably just cut Von Miller, move on, cut your losses there, and try to bring someone else in, because it just hasn't worked out that well. It felt crazy at the time when they gave him that 6-year massive contract, even though there was kind of an opt-out after year 3, which is this year. And I would say it's played out that way. It has not lived up to expectations. Don't think Khalil Mack's a superstar anymore, but he's still a good player. Eric Stokes, if they want to add a corner to their secondary, we've talked about their DB issues. I mean, we saw in the AFC Championship game when Christian Benford went down. I mean, they just got picked on. DeMar Hamlin at safety is probably an area they'd like to upgrade at. Maybe that one's in the draft. But Stokes is a free agent that is at least solid. I mean, he's not a lockdown guy, but he can be a number 2 outside corner for you if the Bills wanted to go that route. Because in the big games, I feel like we always give Sean McDermott, like, man, he's always got a good defense. And he does, but you play the Chiefs, even the Ravens. I mean, by the end of that game, they're getting shredded. It's like, I need a little more juice. Like, whether it's in that front 4 or on the back end, both can't be average to below average, and I kind of feel like that's what it is. Their front 4 feels very average. Their secondary feels below average. So one of those units just has to get better if they're going to beat Patrick Mahomes in one of these big games. And Stokes gives you a higher floor at least. Shouldn't cost a ton of money, so I think that's the type of player that they can make work within their budget. How about Matthew Judon? Interesting player. Obviously, was in this division for a while with the Patriots, was a dominant player. Got hurt his last year there, gets traded to the Falcons. Was not very good this year, to be completely honest. Graded out poorly per PFF. He kind of picked it up late in the year, but not really. Is that was he a kind of a bit, what's the opposite of a benefit? Like a negative of his environment? Like, I don't really know. I still think, like, I wonder, is he more just like Von Miller, where he's just a rotation guy at this point in his career? But I will say this, I don't think he'll cost a ton of money. Like, you might get him for like $7 million, just kind of a flyer here. So obviously the Bills are familiar with them, wearing the red sleeves. I'm repping Matt Judon today when he was with New England. Did that in Atlanta last year as well. Could do it in Buffalo. The red still fits. So we'll see what happens. It would, like I said, would be cheap. Have to be a team-friendly deal. But if you cut Von Miller, save the money, and paid Judon half of what Von Miller was making, you probably get similar production. So we'll see if that's a player that Buffalo goes down that route. Again, he knows that division well. Maybe he'd be kind of resurged with a more competitive team. All right, name a player you would like to see the Bills sign in NFL free agency. We just went through 4 guys on today's show. Shout a name out in the comment section below, as obviously Buffalo's main priority is to close the gap between themselves and Kansas City. That's going to do it for this edition of the Bills Breakdown. My name is Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. Again, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get over the hump, and we will continue to bring you guys content on a daily basis.